Welcome to my review of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is the 9th film directed and written by Quentin Tarantino, and it stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, and Margot Robbie as Sharon Tate. The film tells the story of Rick Dalton, a faded television actor, and his stunt double who strive to achieve fame and remain relevant as the Hollywood industry is changing later in the 60s. To this day, I still remember my first experience with a Quentin Tarantino film. It was Reservoir Dogs, and ever since then I've been fascinated with this director. Something that I really love about him and something that I see in his films constantly, in every conceivable way, is how much he loves film. I don't think it was ever as apparent that he loves movies as it is in this one. Tarantino fucking loves movies. He fucking loves Hollywood. He fucking loves filmmaking and everything that goes into it. The acting, the writing, the directing, the cinematography. And it shows beautifully. He has a vision. This guy has a vision of his own that can't be copied. It can't be mirrored. And I love that about him. I love that a director and a writer has such an engrossed and detailed vision that he transmits that just with shots. You don't even need dialogue, and that's something that Tarantino stands out as well. Everything about this film just breathes, sweats 60s. You can say very easily that this is a film that is set in 1960. But this is a 60s film. This is not a story that you see nowadays in movies, not in the story itself and not in the way it is told, more importantly. Throughout the entire runtime of this film, I was fascinated at seeing Tarantino deconstruct his own movie right before my eyes. Because as it tells Rick Dalton's story and Cliff Booth's story, it's also showing you their work, showing you what they've done, showing you what they love to do, and what goes on behind the scenes of their work. I had the biggest smile on my face, or I had my jaw dropped. Let's go into those two, because they are fantastic. There are scenes where they're just talking, or they're just watching some of their work, and it's incredible to witness because these two are delivering the material written by Tarantino. Now, these two are two of the best actors ever. They work together beautifully, but even when they're not with one another, my God, their delivery is fascinating. These are some of the most mesmerizing performances I have seen all year. And it's incredible not because they're so good, but because they're playing it so differently, because this film is a comedy, okay? I think this is Tarantino's most obvious, most blatant comedy, and DiCaprio is playing it so seriously, so dramatically, but the setting, everything revolving around them, what is happening in his world, makes things so funny. I, and the theater I was at, was laughing constantly, out loud, bursting. Several times I thought I was going to begin to cry because it was so funny. But that's not to say that it takes the emotion away from Rick Dalton's story, because this is actually Tarantino's most emotional film. I don't think I've ever been as emotionally involved with a main character of his as I was with Rick Dalton. It's amazing to see these two at work, and once more, to no one's surprise, Tarantino's dialogue is brilliantly written. His scene writing is brilliantly written. The staging, the setting, the costumes, everything looks real. It looks like this was shot back in the 60s. Everyone's mannerisms, body language, attitudes, the dialogue, again, we keep coming back to this, I have no words to describe how fascinated I was. And although that does sound like I've said everything I need to say about the film, there are negative aspects. And I want to start my negatives by saying, if you guys remember, I tweeted out by watching the trailer for this film that this looked like it had the potential to finally top Pulp Fiction as his best film. Does it do that? No. I'm eating my words right now. I have no shame in that. This is not his best film. I wouldn't even say his top 3. This is a really fucking great film that has Tarantino at the height of his powers in many ways. And if you guys know me, what I'm about to say hurts my heart, and you know it hurts my heart. But Margot Robbie as Sharon Tate, I don't think she needs to be in the film. I really struggle to understand why she was in this film, at least so much. If you wanted to have Sharon Tate, and if you want to have her played by Margot Robbie, which I'll always be thankful for, seeing Margot Robbie on screen, I don't think she needs to be in this film as much as she is. Nearly as much as she is. There are a couple of scenes that I could understand, but apart from that, I really see no point. There's also a moment where the film jumps in time, and that derailed the pacing a little bit. Because not only does it jump in time forwards at a certain moment suddenly, but there's this narration by Kurt Russell that is not consistent at all, and when it happens at this moment that the film jumps forward, I struggle to remember if it had happened before, and a few of my friends told me, yes, it happens before, and I completely forgot it. I think the film should have been more consistent in that vehicle of storytelling. And I didn't notice this in a lot of scenes. I honestly just remember one, but there's a scene where DiCaprio is talking to Timothy Olyphant. He's going to play the bad guy in Timothy Olyphant's show, and as they're having a conversation, the film keeps cutting a few frames in it, and I just didn't see the point. Honestly, there are so many things in this film that are fascinating, that are brilliantly done on a filmmaking standpoint. It's hard to look at those small issues and point at them as big gripes. They really aren't. I just think there are issues that Tarantino, of all people, would be able to solve rather easily. But let's not pretend that filmmaking is easy in any way, so maybe I'm being unfair in thinking that. There's a lot to take from the first and the third act. The third act is fascinating. It's as Tarantino as it gets in the best fucking way possible. However, the second act is where you do start to notice these issues, such as the ones I've mentioned, among a few little other ones that I cannot mention because I feel they would be spoilers. You go in this for the directing, for the writing, for the performances, for the story that is trying to tell you, and how fascinatingly so it's telling you that story. This is a film like no other because it's directed by someone who directs and writes like no other. That's the best aspect of this film for me. That's why I love Tarantino. I'm going to give Once Upon a Time in Hollywood an A-. I was so looking forward to it. I'm very happy that I finally saw it. Let me know your thoughts, and thank you so much for watching. You guys are the best. Check out my special rapid reviews video where I review several movies in one video, and check out my Tarantino series videos that I've uploaded thus far: Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, and Jackie Brown, and I will continue to do so in the future. Thank you so much once again. You guys are the best. So until the next review, stay beautiful, stay geeky, and don't forget to like and subscribe because it really helps me out. And so until the next video, love each other and love the movies.